In this video I'm going to show you how to be self-sufficient in potatoes. Now this is a formula that you can apply for any crop, and I'm going to use potatoes as an example. So the first thing is to work out what a portion is for you. Now online they suggest a portion of around 200 grams. I have an appetite. Mine is more like 400 grams around here. Yours might be 300 grams a portion, so adjust as necessary. Now let's say I want to eat 5 portions of potatoes a week. That's 2 kilos that I need a week, 8 kilos a month, and in a whole year I need to grow or eat or produce 104 kilos of potatoes for me to feel that I'm self-sufficient in them. Now the next stage is to refine this number based on practicality reasons. It may not be possible for you to store potatoes in, say, a freezer for a couple of months. You might not have the freezer space. These are potatoes that I grew last year. They're starting to sprout a little bit, and so these aren't going to keep until like May or June. Of course you can be clever about the way that you grow stuff, but that's getting a little bit advanced here. We want to keep it simple. We want to keep it realistic. So I believe realistically for 10 months of the year I can eat my own homegrown potatoes, kind of starting from July and then lasting through till kind of around right at the end of April, start of May. So that means if I just want to keep it simple, where I'm growing potatoes and I am then harvesting and just storing them in a cool, dry, dark place, I would need enough potatoes for 44 weeks. And if each week I need 2 kilos, it just means that I want to aim to grow and harvest 88 kilos of potatoes. The third stage is you want to consider the needs of your entire household. How many potatoes does every person want? This is easy for me. I live by myself, so my figure will stick at 88 kilos, but if there's like 3 or 4 of you, obviously that's going to change. Some of you might have big appetites, some of you might be little children and not have big appetites at all. So work that out, work out that number for yourself and write it down. Right, I've got my phone out because all of the numbers are here and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right numbers, especially for step 4 and 5. So the next step, which is number 4, is to allocate space by working out the average yield and plant numbers. So in the book that I did with Sam called the Self-Sufficiency Garden, we measured the average yield of our main crop potatoes and it came in at 1.8 kilos per plant. So that is just under my weekly need of potatoes per plant. I grew 5 plants per square metre, which meant every square metre I was getting around 9 kilos of food. So I like to work in square metres to know how much growing space I want to work. You can divide your raised beds into square metres. So the usual raised bed in this garden is around 3 square metres. And so this 9 kilogram yield was in nice fertile soil. I'm going to be growing my main crop potatoes in less fertile soil this year, so I'm going to reduce my estimation to around 7 kilos per square metre. So to work out the total growing space I want in order to become self-sufficient, I need to then work out what the optimum is. So the optimum is I want 88 kilos of potatoes, so 88 divided by 7 kilos per square metre, that gives me 12.6 square metres. I know there's a lot of numbers flying about, so in the description I've written out the formula so you can follow it step by step. And then to work out potato plants, I know on average that I'll grow 5 plants per square metre. That'll be 12.6 square metres times 5, and that gives you 63 potato plants that I need. But this isn't the final number because the next stage is really important. Step 5 is to realise that sometimes not everything goes to plan. So I like to build in a bit of redundancy or a bit of a safety net. And so my goal of 63 plants is a great goal, but that's if everything goes to plan. I want to account for potential failures and maybe things not going to plan. And so what I like to do is take that number and times it by 1.2. So I'm adding like an extra 20% on top. And so that means that the final number of plants that I need is 76 plants. If I'm rounding up, it would be 75.5. So I'll round it up to 76 plants and just a touch over 15 square meters. So all I need for me to be self-sufficient in potatoes is a 3 by 5 meter section of garden with 76 plants, and I'm pretty confident that'll keep me more than self-sufficient in potatoes for 10 months of the year. So the next stage is you just want to create a bit of a plan because you've got the numbers down and I just want to make sure that I've got a bit of a plan. I want to work out what kind of method that I want to use. So for me, it'll be a bit more extensive on this ground that we've prepared, and I'm going to just plant them probably like 15 centimeters deep, and the idea is I'll mulch them fairly heavily with grass clippings a little later on this season. But I just want to keep it simple. I'm not going all out. It should be simple, and I'm here growing for self-sufficiency. I might put in some kind of like aromatic herbs in between. That might be quite fun, just to help keep it looking nice and keep the plants healthy, but I'm keeping it nice and simple. I want to make sure I know that I've got the seed potatoes. I want to make sure that I know when I'm going to be doing it, and I want to have a rough plan for what varieties as well, because varieties are really, really important. There's like more of a salad potato. I love Charlottes. They're like so productive. We've had amazing results with them. But then in terms of more of like a main crop, obviously a lot of you would know that I'd say something like Sarpa Mira or Sarpa Java. So make a plan, know what varieties, make sure you have everything in place, and then it comes to the next stage, which is just implement the plan and go through the year and see what happens. One of the coolest things to do when you are going through a self-sufficiency journey is gathering data and measuring, and when you do your big potato harvest, measure it and see what happens. The final stage of this is to actually look at what happened, to refine the process, to see what you've learned, to think maybe is it worth growing some potatoes earlier on as a new potato crop in the polytunnel, so you can then have potatoes for 11 months of the year. Maybe you want to consider a hotbed or these different things. Maybe you want to intercrop potatoes with other yields and crops as well. Really, there is no set way of doing it. It's just understanding how many plants you need, roughly how much space, and what the average yield you get per plant. So if you're looking for more tips on having a productive garden, one of the best things is to bring nature into your garden. And this video right here shows you 9 tips for a wildly productive kitchen garden.